Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here, taking a look at some undercard action on Belmont Stakes Saturday. Race 6 is the Grade 2 Wonder Again for the 3-year-old fillies going the mile and the 16th distance on the turf. And speaking of the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, you do want to check out our Belmont Stakes packages at DRF.com. You can save money by bundling everything we offer on these packages along with your all-access past performances. You also get the clock reports for all 5 days of this Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, as well as the betting strategies that Mike and I will be writing for Saturday's card. Well, Mike, we're going to have a heavy favorite in this Wonder Again in the form of the number 6, Nitrogen. She has just been unbeatable since coming back for her 3-year-old season in the barn of Mark Casse.
She's clearly the horse to beat for sure. This is still a pretty good race in my opinion. There's just a bunch of fillies in this field, David, that I really like. I'm not sure they can beat Nitrogen as good as she's been as a 3-year-old, but this is a very interesting race nonetheless.
It feels like there's a lot of upside among the contenders in this race, but Nitrogen's already taken that step forward as a 3-year-old. We'll see if these others can do so to match her form. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. And Mike, there's not a ton of speed in here.
No.
I think the number 5, Opulent Restraint, can pretty easily make the front if they want to do so, and they probably will based on how well she ran going to the lead last time.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it too. I mean, I just didn't find that much speed. Either way, the favorite's not going to be compromised as far as the pace is concerned, because she's just a very tactical kind of horse. The only other horse I could kind of make a case for going forward was maybe the 7, Love You Anyway. She hasn't been a speed so far, but it feels like if they wanted to be forward, she could be there.
I'll also be interested to see what they do with the number 8, Laurelin, because she has tactical speed. She's just broken a bit slowly in a few starts and then makes middle moves, but we'll see if she can get that run going a little bit earlier to gain some position into that clubhouse turn. Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Jafara, going out for the Chad Brown stable. Mike, I liked this filly's maiden win in France at the end of last year. Was off for a long time before coming back for her 3-year-old debut, switching into the Chad Brown barn, making her first U.S. start, and this victory at Keeneland was quite visually impressive.
Yeah, really liked the win that she put in here first time in the States for Chad Brown. Just sort of last early in there, but made a big move on the turn, kept going through the stretch. She's a very strong finisher. Like you, I really liked her maiden win over in France. They actually debuted her in an allowance race. She ran fine that day, and then they went to maiden. She was much the best in that field. Feels like there's a ton of potential here. We'll see if this is the right spot.
Yeah, you could see Flavian Pratt just rode her with a ton of confidence, being able to loop the field, not worried about saving ground on her, and she just mowed that field down in the stretch. And horses have come back out of that race to actually suggest that it might have been a stronger number than the speed figure even indicates. The number 2, Mayday Ready, really did everything right during her 2-year-old season in this country, leading up to that second place finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf behind the very good European shipper Lake Victoria. We'll take a look at the stretch run of that race. And Mike, this horse can get any kind of trip. She just fires a big shot. She tries really hard every single time. They took her over to Japan to try the Hanshin Juvenile Fillies. That's a really tough thing to pull off at any point in a horse's career, but especially for a 2-year-old.
Yeah, you just can't hold that race against her. Her form over here was just rock solid. She never really got that much respect, David, but she just kept showing up, firing good race after good race. Even her Breeders' Cup was a good performance in there. I mean, when you go back and watch that full replay, I'm not sure that Nitrogen didn't even run better than her that day, but they both ran well in there.
The number 3, Bessie Abbott, is coming out of the same race that Jafara was at Keeneland, and she closed for second, had maybe a spot of trouble on the far turn when a horse sort of veered out, but it didn't really affect her too much. She had every chance of that race, just couldn't really match the late finishing kick of Jafara and was second best.
That's how I looked at it too. She ran fine in there. She was no match for Jafara when she broke her maiden at a huge price in her first start over there in Ireland. She came from last that day, but that trip just kept working out for her, David. She never left the rail. She kept getting the room every time she needed it, fired right up the inside and got the job done. She's going to have to move forward a lot against this field.
Mike, can we get some progression from the number 4, Virgin Colada? Because she looked so good when she made her debut up here last summer, just firing this big late kick through the lane to get up to win. And while she placed in a couple of stakes after that and continued to run some nice races, she never really took that step forward that you thought she might based on the debut effort.
I kind of feel the same way about her. I mean, I've liked some of her performances. Some of the others, it feels like she's maybe just not going to turn out to be that good. I mean, I know she had a little bit of early trouble at the Breeders' Cup, but she just never really ran that day. I actually didn't feel like her return race was that bad, the Memories of Silver. I mean, I know that the pace wasn't slow, but it's not like it was fast. And she was running at the end of that race. I thought that she ran fine. I just can't get a good handle on her, David, but she just 10-1 on the line.
Yeah, I think the Memories of Silver is actually a decent prep for this, so I'm not going to hold that against her too much, but she's going to need a move forward second off the layoff. Speaking of the Memories of Silver, the number 5, Opulent Restraint, was the runner-up in that race, another runner going out for the Chad Brown stable. And Mike, she was a tough one for them to figure out last year. It always looked like she traveled well in her races. races and then just lacked a little bit of finish right at the end. So they put her on the lead last time, hoping that she wouldn't have to produce such a finishing kick through the lane. And she ran the best race of her career. She said what I thought was an honest pace, just kept going and actually fought back when Laurelin challenged her late.
Yeah, maybe that was the best thing about the performance. Though you're right, it's not like she was going a slow pace in there, but she was loose on the lead. Laurelin came for her, and it felt like she was just going to get left behind again. She didn't. She really fought back in there. I'm a fan of hers. I still think there's more room for her to improve, but she better show it in this race. This is a really good field.
The number 6 Nitrogen is going to be a heavy favorite in this race, and deservedly so, because she's won 4 stakes in a row. As Mike was already mentioning earlier, she ran deceptively well when she last lost in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf last year, a race that she arguably could have been right there at the end with Late Victoria had she gotten a better trip. And she's gained a little more tactical speed as she's gotten better this year, is able to put herself in a winning position every single time, and she still fires that strong stretch kick.
Just been so impressive. It's hard to, want to take, at least in my opinion, to want to take a huge stand against her. But listen, again, this is a really good field overall. As good as she's been in those last 2 graded stakes victories, this race is tougher than either one of those. I guess the question is, does it really matter? Is she just too good for these horses right now?
And if the main concern is that she's going to hold her form with having all this racing so far in the early part of the season, I watched that recent workout on May 30th of the Oklahoma Turf Course. She hooked up with Deterministic and Carson's Run in an unplanned drill, the team drill with the 3 of them, and she just ran right by them through the stretch. So she is in great form right now. The number 7, Love You Anyway, got a real trip on debut, a better race than it looks, and I think that gave the Connections confidence to try a stakes next time. Probably too much too soon for her, but she got the confidence builder she needed last time, breaking her maiden at Keeneland.
Yeah, it looks good winning this race. I mean, still, it looks like she still doesn't have it all figured out. Still a little green in this race, drifting out a little bit when she made the lead, but she was just much the best in there. Feels like there's a lot of potential here. They're going to step her up again. This is a tough spot.
And then on the outside is the number 8, Laurelin, an undefeated filly who has won 2 stakes, one at the end of her 2-year-old season in the Tepin, and then last time out, the Memories of Silver off the layoff. We'll take a look at the stretch run of that race. We already mentioned Opulent, Restraint, and Virgin Colada coming out of that spot. And Mike, I just love the way that Laurelin makes middle moves in her races and puts herself into position. She's not the quickest out of the gate, and that sometimes puts her a little behind the 8 ball around the clubhouse turn, but Kendrick Carmouche rides her with so much confidence, knowing that he can ask her at multiple points in the race. However, as she's stepping up against a field of this quality, she probably is going to need a more conventionally successful turf trip if she's going to beat a rival like Nitrogen.
Yeah, and I think, as you were alluding to earlier on, too, I think it all starts at the break for her, too. She's got to get out of the gate this time, because I don't think you want to break slowly from the outside post here and then wind up having with so much ground to make up, because as you've pointed out, I mean, if you go back and watch any one of her first 3 starts, she, not only is she mid-move, but she kind of does it on her own. I mean, she puts her rider right where he wants to be, and then she keeps going through the stretch. I think she's really, really good. I'm very interested to see how she matches up against Nitrogen.
And we should note, there is rain in the forecast for Friday into Saturday. Nitrogen handled some given the ground in the Appalachian. Maybe a horse with a European pedigree like Laurelin or some others in this race might be okay with it as well. So we'll see how that plays into the results in this Wonder Again and the other turf races on Saturday. Mike, where'd you land here?
Listen, again, there's a lot of horses that I like in here. The longer I looked at it, I just felt like maybe this isn't the time to go against Nitrogen. She's just been so good, David. I put her on top. I know she's a short price. The other horse for me is Laurelin, who I know you like.
Yeah, I've got a ton of respect for Nitrogen, but I've become a big fan of Laurelin. I just love how much ability she showed in the middle portions of her races, and I'm hoping she can put it all together with her ultimate effort here, because she's going to need it to beat a horse as good as Nitrogen. The number 8, Laurelin for me, Nitrogen for Mike in race 6 on Belmont Stakes Saturday, the Grade 2 Wonder Again. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.